In this video, we're going over the biggest habits that are destroying your chance of having any sort of success with women. The first is a complete reliance on passive attraction. The problem is if you're not actively and intentionally moving things forward with women that you're talking to, like suggesting they go on a date or at least flirting or at least like progressing things, they're very unlikely to do it themselves. You know, there's no long game that's actually worth playing. So if you're just their buddy, if you're just their orbiter in hopes that it will eventually turn into something, it's just a waste of time. And I know a lot of even good looking guys struggle to realize this. And for those who know me from Good Looking Loser over 12 years ago, this was the initial gist of the site. We're guys that should do well, but we always fumble the ball at the goal line. This is because, I mean, let's be honest, women only really need to be attractive to get attention. But we need to overcome social anxiety. We need to have some confidence. We have to have the ability to apply ourselves. And we need to be at least okay looking. So don't sit idle just hoping something magically happens with some woman that you're texting. Have some killer instinct and just go for it. And remember, if you come across awkward or weird, that doesn't really matter. If they like you, the only thing that matters is that you actually ask them out. So go for it. So apart from not trying to slowly build attraction over months or years, it's equally important that you cut off any dead ends. Recognize you have a finite amount of energy and time, so every moment that you're spending trying to progress with somebody who probably isn't interested in you could be spent actually going out and talking to women, messaging or swiping online, improving your appearance, or just about anything else. If you're an orbiter, you just kind of hang around, text her whenever she wants somebody to talk to. Like, she's not going to reward your loyalty. If she turns you down now or whenever, she's always going to. So you might as well rip off the band-aid. And yes, I know there are exceptions. I've been friends with women who ended up being a wingman for me, but that's typically a rare dynamic to have. So be honest with yourself and only invest time to women who could realistically meet up or even hook up within the next month. Now, next is the belief that you need to overcome your fear of rejection. Like, nearly all of my success with women actually came while I was extremely shy, full of anxiety, and very sensitive to getting turned down. So the biggest problem is if you're expecting it to get easier, you're gonna get discouraged when it doesn't. So with cold approach, for instance, you don't need to overcome your anxiety or your fears. You need to learn how to persist despite it. To just put your head down and just push through and get it done. And this was eye-opening for me because I realized I need to prioritize action. And more importantly, I realized that I don't need to be smooth to have success. Now, another critical aspect of this is not letting your ego get in the way. Like, some of the biggest accomplishments that I've had came with me first, with the requirement of me first looking stupid or first sucking at something or being cringy or weird or whatever. And unlike every guru out there who gives advice as if they've kind of done it all, I'm actually in the trenches of this right now with YouTube. I don't even think some of my recent videos are even that good, but I know they're a lot better than they were a few months ago. And I know videos a few months from now are going to be a lot better than today because I've actually been through the ringer. I've been through this. I've given myself permission to suck at stuff. And it always turned out when I persisted. And that's kind of what you need to do with a lot of different things in life, including women and especially with cold approach. Now, the next harmful habit is possibly the single biggest trap that I see guys fall into. So I'm seeing a lot of these narratives about the dating market today, with one being that due to social media, women have developed some ridiculously high standards for who they would accept to date. But that's a load of crap. Complete just bullshit.
It's a total fabrication.
I see it all the time with guys that I help, but I mean, even if women actually required you to be good looking, tall, and rich, they would never date anybody. At the end of the day, like, we pick a significant other more or less around the same value of us. Yes, it's superficial to break things down by value, but that's the hard truth. And the sad thing is most of you don't actually know your value in terms of like the quality of the woman that you could actually get, because dating apps do not actually give you a good representation of this. And cold approach, while it does, I know very, very few of you have ever actually tried it or at least taken it seriously. This is the habit and trap of blaming the dating market for your lack of success. Now, the next habit is a quick one, but it has to be said for anyone on the younger side or just getting started with dating. It's the habit of not having boundaries. Let me explain. So often when guys are inexperienced, they just become so excited and over the moon when they do start seeing someone. But no matter how highly they value them, the relationship needs to have some level of give and take. Like, I get it, they may just seem amazing and you want to show them how committed you are to them. But that's going to be a turnoff. Like, they're going to be a lot more attracted to a guy who doesn't bend over backwards for them, who doesn't always chase them. So learn to say no sometimes. Don't mask your disagreements. Don't always be available, and at least make it seem like you have a life outside of them, even if you don't. Now, there's another side of this, which is even worse, and it's also controversial because so many of you can't think logically. You've got a smooth brain and you let the emotions call the shots. And it's probably the biggest point in this list as well. And it's the lack of emotional regulation. Specifically, it's limiting the amount of freedom that a woman has that they date. And if you do this, I can promise you it is annihilating your success with women. Acting jealous, telling them they can't go out with their girlfriends or they can't do this or that will cause any of them to run the other way from you. And if by chance they actually cheat, like, it always ends up being obvious and you're just finding out something about them that you didn't know before. So you're really just dodging a bullet. It is far worse to continue dating somebody who's actually willing to cheat on you but haven't been in the right circumstance yet. So if you feel jealous, like, it's one thing to feel it, it's hard to avoid, but just make sure you don't act on it. And plus, it's really allowing them to have that level of freedom is really just going to help you stand out. It makes you so much more desirable because it's not a trait that's really that common. And it is like the single biggest turnoff that a woman can have is a guy that just controls them or limits their freedom. And this goes for your overall cleanliness too, and neediness. Like, it's even been backed up as one of the top relationship killers that you actually have full control over. But if you find yourself relating to a lot of these habits, I do have one-on-one mentorship that's reasonably inexpensive if you're interested. And if you happen to want to know how an average man dates women out of the league, check out this video. I think it's over here. But I'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.